This video is about an ore and resource generating setup using Ex Nihilo, Ex-Astris, thermal expansion and also optionally HBMs Nuclear Tech mod, and it is going to give you a lot of useful metals and resources indefinitely, and it doesn't use a lot of power. So without any further ado my guys, let's get straight into this video. At the core of this whole setup we have the automatic sieve from Ex-Astris mod. Now this sieve can separate metals from gravel, sand or dust, whatever we provide it with. So for this particular setup, I'm gonna convert cobblestone into gravel, then gravel into sand, and finally sand into dust. Then this dust will pass through the sieve and it will give us the powdered variants of all of the metals that you can see, along with additional resources like bonemeal, blaze powder, etc. These powdered variants can then be converted into ingots, can even be doubled, but that's something for another video. For our power source, I'm going with an infinite battery, a gauge in the middle, and HE to RF converter. So dig out by 3 blocks and place down some cryo-stabilized flux ducts. Now I'm using these because these have infinite RF per tick transfer rate, which is what we need for this setup as it can be scaled according to your needs. Next up, igneous extruder with output to the right hand side, and for the augmentations I have these 3 which will produce 64 cobblestone per operation. Next, place out 3 pulverizers touching each other. The configuration will be input from the left hand side, output on the right hand side. Now this first one, the first pulverizer, will also have a secondary output of sand which we want on the back hand side. Place out a second pulverizer and the same configuration, left input, the right side will be the output, and for the secondary output, set it on the top like this because the secondary output for this one will be dust. For our final pulverizer, we have an input here, an output on the right hand side, and finally an input on the back hand side. Now for the augments, place down 3 speed upgrades in all 3 of these pulverizers, and with that the setup should be done. So as I told you, this first pulverizer right here will be connected to the third one, so we set a input point on the third pulverizer on the back hand side, and then we can connect an item duct going from the first one into the third one. This will transfer all of the sand, and yeah, that will complete the loop. Finally, we come out and make a T shape like this, place down some more flux ducts, and then 2 automatic sieve. Now to connect these, I am using warp item ducts as these like transfer items instantly. And placing some redstone servo on the last one, the last pulverizer, and connecting the output of the secondary to the line that we have here. And with that, all of the dust should be transferred into these 2 automatic sieves. To get the output, we connect some more warp ducts and then place down servos on the output side right here and set them, the redstone should be set to ignore, and we connect them to a crate. Now this crate will work as an intermediary and will hold all of the items kinda like a buffer. And now we bring out our flux ducts by 2 to 3 blocks, and then we can start placing down our storage block. Now these mass storage units are from Nuclear Tech mod and they will hold 1 million items. On top of this will go a furnace, and on top of the furnace will be a cyclic assembler. So the cyclic assembler will combine all of the powdered variants into the dust. That dust in the furnace will give us an ingot which will be stored in the storage box. So we need a total of 9 for all of the 9 pieces of metals that we have here. And on top, we have the redstone furnace which has no augments, and the configuration is very simple. Input from the top, output on the bottom. Same goes for the cyclic assembler, no augmentation. Input on the top and output on the bottom. So place down 8 more furnaces like this, and on top of these place down 8 more cyclic assemblers. Now we need to place 5 more storage boxes for the 5 additional things that we are going to produce. And now we can start hooking up the power. So for power, connect all of the furnaces and the cyclic assemblers using flux ducts like this. And for item transfer, once again, I'm going to use warp ducts. You can also use normal ducts, but something which is fast enough. And then bring them down and connect them to all of the storage boxes like this. Get rid of every unnecessary connection that you have made on these warp ducts, and finally connect a servo. Now on top of the inputs, place down an item filter, and now we can start filtering using these powdered metals that we have here. So for the first one, I'm gonna go slow for this one, and then I'm going to speed up basically. So for the first filter, we are going to set it to powdered iron ore. Set it to whitelist so that it allows it, and in here the cyclic assembler, place down an empty schematic and then place down 4 pieces of powdered iron like this, which will give us an iron ore dust, and click the check mark button. Next we have aluminum, then copper, tin, and then we have lead. Then next up after lead we have gold. After gold we have nickel. Then for the last two we have silver and then platinum. So these were the 9 metals that we are going to produce, which will be ingots. Then we have bone meal, redstone, gunpowder, some glowstone dust, and finally blaze powder. And that's it. That's all of the 14 products that will be produced. With all of that said, we can start this setup now. So we have cobblestone going in the pulverizer, being converted into gravel, then that gravel into sand here, and sand will then be converted into dust, and all of that dust is ending up in the automatic sieve. So here you can see all of the products that are being made from the dust, and they are going into their respective cyclic assemblers and furnaces and being stored in the storage boxes. So for these deep storage units, you can set them with the ingots that are being deposited here, and once you set the storage box, then it will start storing all of these items. So here I'm gonna quickly do this. And once you have done this process for all of the storage boxes for all of the 14 products, then at the end you should see that items are being stored in all of them, and this process will continue until and unless they are full. And once they are full, you can turn the lever off and then use those resources and once again start it. And the power draw is also not that much. You can use a self-charging battery for it. So if you enjoyed this video, like it and also subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Peace out my guys, stay safe.